Show, and I'm excited first to welcome my co-host Frank Fiore. Frank, how are you? We were talking that entrepreneur background. We're looking forward to our guest today, and Frank, thanks again for stopping by. Is it warm in Arizona right now?
No, the low is in about the 30s and the high is in about the 50s.
And that happens in Prescott, but if you go to Tucson, forget about it. That's
Forget
crazy.
about it.
Forget about it. And I wish I could hit the Final Four next week in Arizona. I'm not going to be able to, but one of my colleagues will be covering it for me for my new magazine that I'm launching that I'll be announcing to people very soon on live stream. But my guest today is Todd Halls. Todd, thanks for coming by, business coach and much, much more. I appreciate you coming by the show. And Frank has a few questions to get started with you, and we'll have a fun conversation.
Awesome. Glad to
All
be
right.
here. Thanks for the invite, Neil.
You're welcome. All right, Frank, what do you have first question for Todd?
Well, business coach, you see so many of them. What really is a business coach?
um, that's a great question. And there are a lot of answers to that. I can't tell you what is a business coach. I can tell you what I do. I've distilled it down to my unifying message lately, and I'm still tweaking it, but I am a dysfunction exterminator. I don't that's what I've come up with for right now. I help businesses clear the clutter, the chaos. Well, I guess we never get rid of the chaos, but we bring it together in such a way that it becomes a symphony. And I think that's what a good coach helps the business do.
And I think it's very, very important. It's very interesting. I will listen to Marketing School podcast and Neil Patel and Eric Sue. And Neil always says, why hire a coach? Well, Eric's a big fan to hire multiple coaches for his business. Some of his colleagues, friends that he's had on Leveling Up with Eric Sue, these are all $1 million companies. They say they hire a coach for a specific area to come in, teach the team, and go on. So coaching in a lot of ways could be executive coaching. It could be so many different things. That's the process. And when you look at dysfunctionalism, where do you see dysfunctionalism? I think everyone writes down and says, hey, this is how you should run a business. That's it. And if you don't stick to this program, that's why you're not successful. Not true at all, right?
I agree with that. There's so many variables you can't, and I don't know if there's any one program because we're people. There's the human factor, right? And so
Yeah.
if you just bring the system without the human factor, I don't think it doesn't serve as well as it could. It still serves great, but not as well as it could. So the framework that I use when working with businesses is called system and soul for that very reason, because we've got the system part of it, the tried and true things like an org chart and a scoreboard and weekly meetings, etc. But then we get really intentional about addressing the soul of the company, the culture, the values, the people, how we're developing our leaders so they can develop leaders. And so, yeah, to your point, it's not a one size fits all. There needs to be some customization available.
And that's what we do at Media Giant Marketing, and that's what we do at Hollow Man Publishing, and that's what we do. I want to work on is customization of for the client. We're always saying we're going to niche down and we're going to specifically create a system, and our customers are going to stay. That's not true. Now, Frank is an entrepreneur, and Frank, you were telling me in your background, I was really intrigued by you. I said, so what was your day job? I said, it was an entrepreneur, and you had successful businesses. Do you believe there's a one size fits all for how you should be an entrepreneur or business owner?
Well, that's the question I wanted to ask Todd. Todd, do business coaches specialize in a particular area like marketing, operations, sales, or something like that? Or do business coaches use some general rules of thumb that they could go into any kind of aspect of a business and help them?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So there are generalists, but then a good generalist, if he sees a real need in the sales department, should be able to say, hey, we need to look at hiring a sales coach to come in and help with that, because it's more specific, it's more specialized than what I can help with. But as your coach, we've identified this as a need. Conversely, if you've got a marketing coach in there or helping them out, and he's looking at the rest of the chaos around him, he may say, hey, I'm helping with the marketing, but we really need to bring somebody that's more of a generalist that can help with the overall structure and framework of the company. And so it's both, I think.
In
Should you?
my computer business, give you an example. We had two customer service reps, and they were just going nuts. I mean, their calls were coming in, all kinds of calls, this, that, and the other. And they said, we need more people. And I said, no, we're not going to get more people. Let's find out what the problem is. And we said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to record every call for the next 2 weeks, every call of what the problems were. And what we found out was that we could alleviate a lot of those problems by focusing on the problem area on the front end, not the back end. And so that's the kind of thinking that a coach would do, would look at this and say, don't throw money at it or people at it. Find out what the problems are. And you may find out that it's your salespeople causing the problems, or the shipping people is causing the problems, or maybe even the company's causing this problem with its policies that don't function correctly.
You bring up a great point, and it's the solving the symptom. And we see it all, we see it all the time when we need a Band-Aid on that. Oh, we got to put a Band-Aid on it. We got to get a, well, what's happening? Well, every time I go around the corner, I scrape my arm. Well, okay, you can either stop going around the corner, or better yet, let's fix the rough spot on the corner. So no, like get to the root of the problem. And I think that's what you're just talking about.
Yeah, and I think that
what we would tell our employees when they come to us with the problems, they can't solve it. I said, if I gave you $1 billion right now, could you solve the problem? Said, well, of course. I says, okay, if I give you, I'm just going to give you $1. Now go solve. Then you just told me the problem can be solved. Now let's find out how much.
And that's the key thing. Well, I think what happens to some coaches, and this is not, I'm not trying to be negative about it, but I've heard about this, is they create problems that should be solved without really understanding the business. Creating the problem, saying, you need to change everything you're doing, even though you're seeing a growth. We're going to go this direction without really a proven track record if it's going to work or not work. That's where I think the research of a coach has to come into place. And I think that they have to have it say it was going to work. And I know it's going to work for this business, because they could have the wrong marketing. They could have the wrong business and they've been able to grow to a certain level, and there's no way they're going to grow anymore. And for anyone else to try to fix the problem, it's going to cause more problems. What are your thoughts?
So it's interesting the way you said that. And it gets into the gray, murky area of coach, consultant, advisor, mentor. Like who did I hire, right?
Yeah.
From my style of coaching, I can't imagine. I gotta be careful. As of yet, I can't imagine telling one of my customers, this is the way we're going to run your business, because it's their business. What I want to do is ask what they think, and what are your best ideas, worst ideas, what your team think. What's the biggest threat we have? Okay, if we work this way, what's your best scenario, worst scenario? Can you afford that sort of risk? If not, then what are we doing talking about it? So I got stumped right at the beginning of that one. And
you're getting it. That's where the conversation goes, because that's the thing. Here's the thing that happens. Like, let's say when my company grows another 10x, which is going to happen. It's going to happen faster than I think. I'm going to need to bring a coach in, but I'm going to need to be a coach that's higher level than me, meaning they got to be, doing as well in a company before, have proven that with other people and able to do it. Mistake is everyone hires a business coach thinking, hey, they're going to listen to my problems. They're going to figure things out. And yeah, they may be able to figure it out. And people put themselves out there as their great coach with really not showing a proven track record that they really can work with that individual. That's the problem. I mean, I listen to these unbelievable gurus and I say, if I had, and that's my point, Frank. That's my point, Todd. I'm just saying, as I continue to let this brain think about things and think about my career starting at a tutoring business, then I kind of had a marketing business, then kind of changed it to a niche business, to now being a serial entrepreneur. I say to myself, I self-coach myself, but when I get to a certain level, when that level comes and I can work and I have the budget in my business to invest in a coach, I would invest in a high level performance coach. But I think I can get to the level where that high level performance coach that I'll need or my team will need, because that's the hard part. But I think that I see so many coaches up to say I coach business. You don't seem like it, Todd. So you're helping in an area that lots of people in business make mistakes, because I was watching some of your Facebook stuff, and that involves specifically enough. And I really think it's a great idea. The operations side of a business, really looking at the ins and outs of how it's run on a regular basis every day, because that is the lifeblood of a company. Marketing is the lifeblood of a company. Operations is the lifeblood of a company. Getting sales is sure as heck. But if you don't have all three engines running really well, you're not going to be a high performance business. And that's what a business coach has to kind of evaluate, right? But you think is it operations is your secret sauce?
My secret sauce is the people. It's the human energy. And whether they're in operations or the finance or in the operator seat, my sauce is it's creating space for them and helping them live into their best potential, if that makes sense. And as they realize that potential, helping them realize that by stretching to this point, they've actually created more potential. So, and then helping them all work together for the common vision. Because oftentimes what we get, you mentioned, the three distinct, you got marketing, you got operations, you got finance, and oftentimes there seems to be almost competition. Well, we can't do that. The finance guys.
There's a competition in marketing alone in just the marketing C-suite. There's competition in the sales C-suite. Well, how do we use sales? We do inside sales, or we're out there and do the out in operations side. Is it the IT department, or is it more the operations department on the other end? So there's competition in that's the hard part. And human beings working together, the further you scale your business.
Yeah. So coming back to your question, Neil, my expertise isn't in marketing or operations or finance. My expertise is bringing all those people together to achieve the common shared vision of the company.
What kind of size companies do you work with?
Up to about 20 million. Can work higher, but so far that's where it's been.
What's the lowest you work with revenue?
Solopreneur doing 100 and six, a low six figures.
Interesting. And what do you see the difference in those two? And then I'm gonna let Frank have one more question before we let you go. Like how a solopreneur's brain thinks versus a one that's doing 20 million, because that's really hard to kind of place those two people together in a way and coach both of them. You must have that.
The solopreneur is, well, they're both plagued by their own doubts, right? But the solopreneur really needs to get out of their own head even more. Like just it's that self-belief, right? And then in the midst of that, just sorting out what's most important for them to do next, right? Instead of, well, I think I'm going to try this. Nope, I'm going to try that. But I've got a saying, be impatient for action and patient for results. So decide on something, take action, and stick with it long enough to see if it's working. Like let it work, because most things will if you diligently go after them. The guy that's got a team, so now he's got, at 20 million or 50 million, he's got a leadership team around him, right? So it's not him by himself. So he's still got those voices in his head, but he's showing up, and probably he's the go-to, or she is the go-to gal. Like, hey, we've got this come up. Well, just do this. Okay, just do this. And they haven't fully let go of the reins yet, right? And so the big difference is helping them get the systems in place so that we establish organizational clarity. Everybody knows where we need to go. We've got transparency and accountability. So they don't have to wonder, hey, is this getting done? Because they can, in a glance at their scoreboard, know that, oh, the pulse is good. And we free them up, that leader, to let go of all all the crap that they don't enjoy doing anyhow, right? But for so long they've been the go-to person, and we can let them delegate that to this awesome leadership team that they've curated and developed. They can get back to either doing what they love in the business, coming back to life and their passion for it in the first place, or maybe there's the point where, they're doing pretty good, and I've always been interested in this. I
Right.
can keep my fingers on the pulse of my business, and now I'm free to explore this other thing. So that's,
That evolution goes fast. It's
yes.
happened to me really quickly, where I went from a solopreneur to now having a team to now having multiple businesses, and now taking myself into a direction of something else, another project, and it makes it fun, and it feels like being a CEO with multiple to really go into these different things, and it's exciting, and it makes it fun, because that's, if business isn't fun, get the hell out of it. That's the bottom line. Because it's going to drain you, it's going to kill you, and it's going to, or sell it. All right. So your ideal client, Todd, how can people find information on you, learn more about you, and hire you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Todd Halls on LinkedIn. They could go to my website, www.coachtoddhalls.com, and the spelling is TODDHALLS. Yeah, those are the best places. Facebook, of course, Todd TD Halls or Todd Halls on Facebook. They could call me 507-382-6500, or email me, todd@coachtoddhalls.com.
We love it. Thank you, Todd. All right. You're listening and
Thank
watching
you.
the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.